Hello, everyone, and happy President's Day. Probably the least celebrated official federal holiday in all of America. I believe it's like the only federal holiday where everything is still open. I mean, it's not even like Valentine's Day where it's not a federal holiday, but people celebrate it, and so like it makes sense places are open because whatever. It's just a federal holiday or Father's Day or Mother's Day. Places stay open, but people still celebrate that stuff. You don't really see many celebrations for President's Day. That's why I mean least celebrated official federal holiday. Even less celebrated than holidays that aren't official federal holidays. But you know what? Happy President's Day, even with the worst president in U.S. history in office. Mm-hmm. But we can talk about the presidents of old and the great things they have done, like Donald Trump. But the great things they have done, and this is going to take a long time to build up. I don't know if I'll be able to get all the way up to the presidents before I just stop doing this and my channel is just no more, or I pass it on to someone else. If I do pass it on to someone else, but we'll just get to however many it goes, because one president a year, right? Well, and we're at what, 55 right now with Biden, and possibly we'll see if Trump becomes 56. Maybe Biden will stay 55. I have a like every 4 years or so, there's a chance that I have just fall a little bit further behind. Now, George Washington, he was the first president, from 1789 to 1797. And as the first president, a lot of what he did is what created many of the traditions of the U.S. presidency. He set the two-term standard. He wanted to leave after the first term, but he came back, and then he just kind of officially left after the second term. He was the commander of the Continental Army in 1775, and he was the commander-in-chief before he became president. And, well, now, as we know, the president is also the commander-in-chief. He led the revolutionists to victory, and he took his oath to be president in New York City. Now it's Washington, D.C., but at the time, New York City. He didn't want a salary, but Congress insisted he accept $25,000 per year, which is in the millions or billions in today's money. He wanted to be Mr. President. That's what he wanted to be referred to as, and that's why it's Mr. President, or if we ever get a female one, Miss President, and not Your Highness or His Highness the President, or like any of the others. He didn't want those. The turning down the crown to be king, we don't know if that was true. There's no like official documents of that, so it would have been like, I mean, it's possible it could have happened. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but there's no official evidence. And also, like, one of his biggest things was his willingness to step down. He kept stepping down willingly to many positions, which was, again, one of his biggest things, and one of the things that really made him really good. He's started the inaugural address. The reason why we have an inaugural address with every new president, thanks to him. He started the messages to Congress. He started the cabinet form of the executive branch because he needed advisors. The reason why we have the cabinet is because of George Washington. Like, a lot of this stuff wasn't like written, oh, this is what you need to do. No, this is stuff that George Washington just did, and then everyone else just followed suit. Like, he had to create this whole executive branch. He needed to create the power structure of the executive branch. He was the only president with no official political party. Like, even Bernie Sanders, if he would have been president, he's a Democrat. I know he says he's independent, but he's a Democrat. He ran with the Democrat nomination. He would have run with the Democrat nomination. Yeah. He was mostly self-educated. He was fearless in battle. With many officers going down, he just kept running straight towards the danger. He never abused his power. Well, as far as we know, he never used his power, and like I say, he always was willingly to step down and allowed a peaceful transition to the next president. He owned more than 50,000 acres and land and supported westward expansion. So he's one of the people who supported us all going all the way to modern day California. Uh, he loved he despised political parties, but loved parties. Apparently, he was a great dancer. He was the first to sign the Constitution, and he was unanimously elected twice. Yes, there might have been individuals who voted against him, but remember, this we don't go based on individuals; we go based on the electorate. And so the electorate unanimously elected him twice. He freed his slaves. Yeah, he actually freed his slaves. He was an agricultural innovator. He transitioned himself from tobacco to wheat, and he was an isolationist. He didn't want anything to do with any kind of foreign interests. He didn't want to be involved in foreign wars, foreign affairs, anything. He was born in Virginia, and because remember these revolutionists were they were so far away from Britain, and these people weren't even connected to Britain in a way that they came from Britain. No, they were born here in the American colonies. And George Washington being one of them, he was born in Virginia. And a lot of the problems, like the top 10 problems he dealt with, were lack of powers to handle its workload. The executive branch had weak leadership. There's no executive branch, really no executive power. Like he had to build that stuff. There was a small bureaucracy of clerks. There was a large debt, American debt. We had worthless paper money. No power to establish taxes. He had to assemble an executive department. Britain refused to relinquish its forts in the American West, and pirates preyed on American merchant ships. And yeah, and then he had to deal with Jefferson and Hamilton, all of their disputes. The dispute over creating the National Bank, the dispute on where the capital would be moved to, with Pennsylvania being moved to Pennsylvania, the Maryland little area. And he handled it. He favored one side more than the other, but he was willing to listen to any opposing viewpoint, and he wanted any kind of debate to be handed to him in written form because he didn't want any kind of debate at his cabinet meetings, and he wanted people to he wanted his cabinet members to exercise his wills, just do it, like no arguing, just to do it. He wanted there to be a unanimous, okay, he's the guy in charge, he's going to do it. He wanted a large federal government. No, not it's not something that everyone agrees with nowadays. A lot of people want a smaller government. But he was one of them that wanted a bigger federal government. Because, again, these were people were with the states. He signed, and even if he disagreed with the bill, if it was passed through Congress, he was very, very likely to sign it because he didn't want to use his veto powers too much. And it would have been interesting if he did. It was just, he was a good first president. He's the father of our nation. He was a soldier that won us the Revolutionary War, and then he started basically all of the traditions of what being an American president means. He was a great president, a great man. Do we agree with everything he has done in history? No. We're not going to agree with everything. Not everyone's perfect. He's not a saint. He's not some 100% holier than thou. But no one is. If you treat anyone as holier than thou, as like some perfect man, you got something going for it. But again, we honor the good, and we don't honor the bad. And George Washington had a lot of good going for him. And had presidents say, and honestly, throughout history, we've had a lot of pretty good presidents, and I can't wait to go over more of them with all of y'all. And honestly, a lot of the stuff y'all probably knew. See y'all next year on President's Day, and see y'all on my next video when we're going back to sports talks.